Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Adria International Raceway. We have the sprint race for the Italian Grand Prix. The race of course tomorrow, but now we've got the sprint race. We had qualifying yesterday, which saw Alexander Albon 2 weeks on from his humongous accident at the South African Grand Prix at the closing stage of that race. So, yeah. Crazy to see the recovery. If this was last week, he barely even made this race after concussion protocols, but not too bad. Anyway, let's go through your grid then. Sainz, Tsunoda, Vesti, Maloney, Pourchaire, Gasly, Doohan, Leclerc, Stroll, Antonelli, Lawson, Drogovic, Norris, Hamilton, Ocon, Behrman, Russell, Piastri, Verstappen and Albon. Your grid. Norris, your championship leader, in 8th place. By 1 point over his teammate. Wait, no, Piastri's the championship leader. 1 point over his teammate Lando Norris. And then these two, of course, identical times in qualifying. And Maloney making his first start since Australia after he missed the last 2 Grand Prix due to Formula E commitments. Both miserable, really. Nothing, didn't score a single point. And that's Formula E done without scoring a single point all season. So Maloney's actually currently scheduled to miss the New Zealand Grand Prix due to Formula E. Who knows? He probably won't even be on the grid next year with how bad this season was. But he's an F1 driver, and starting in 17th, he hasn't actually finished a Formula 1 race outside of the points. So let's see how this one goes. And that doesn't include sprint races, by the way. That's just Grand Prix. Sprint races haven't really been his thing, I don't think. I can't remember how Australia went in terms of sprint, but yeah, we still have a little bit. We've got a minute until lights out. So yeah, let's get some track facts up for Adria. Adria International Raceway. Is that what it's called? Yeah. Of course, technically it doesn't actually exist anymore. It's closed down, unfortunately. But yeah, it broke ground 2001. It opened in 2002, and then closed March 2022, 3 years ago, but reopened for this weekend. On this layout held Italian F4, TCR Trophy Europe, Italian Super Turismo Championship, NASCAR Wheel and Euro Series, DTM, Super League Formula, FIA GT, Lamborghini Super Trofeo Europe, Superstars Series, whatever that is, European Touring Car Cup, Italian GT and F3 Euro Series, and actually World Touring Car WTCR Race of Italy actually came here as well. I thought that would have been on the other layout, but no, it was on the other. It wasn't the new layout. Ignore me. Anyway, let's get on with this then. It's formation lap. We'll get underway, and then some track facts. Not many, but it is 2.702 kilometers. 1.679 miles, and the race lap record is 1:06.580 by Max Ritzel in the Panon's DP09 2010 Super League Formula, of course. Qualifying times are going just under a minute, so I'm assuming they might be like that in this one. What is this Superstars series? Is this some Italian thing? It folded in 2013, okay. Anyway, I'm going to let the parade lap go around, whilst, let's call it a parade lap, but, yeah, I'll let this go around, and I'll see you at the end of the formation lap. It's a very short formation lap, a lot shorter than last time anyway. It was Ordos that took ages, wasn't it? Because they tried to go at 2 miles an hour. But anyway, the cars will line up the grid. How will Alexander Albon fend off from pole position? Let's see how they all go as they go into Ramata, turn 1, 17 corner circuit, turn 1 and 2, the first overtaking opportunity, and it's lights out when away they go. Who's gonna get the better start? It looks like it'll be Verstappen, but Albon currently in front. Verstappen will have the inside line though. He dives down the inside. Awful start from Oscar Piastri, and that's George Russell in third place now. Piastri down to fourth, but good start from Verstappen as he leads, going towards turn 3, turn 4, and then turn 5. There's a lot of cars further back. One of the cars, that's a Red Bull of Yuki Tsunoda going off the track. Just about. He started, of course, right at the back. Horrible qualifying for him, down in 19th. As they go into the hairpin now. Let's see what will happen. Oh, a huge crash there! Tsunoda out of nowhere. I just saw a fire, I think, there as well. That was a huge accident. Going through the hairpin, there is a fire, and there's a few cars off over back there. I think there's a McLaren. That could be Lando Norris. You're second in the championship leader before South Africa. That was a huge accident for them lot. And I hope they're all okay. That was a huge smash. Tsunoda, I'm assuming, lost control of the car, and the hairpin smashed into them. We're still going green. No safety car or red flag just yet, which I'm surprised about. You can see them there, just about at the hairpin. That was a horrible accident. Horrible accident indeed. That was not what you want to see. And there we go. Red flag is out on the second lap of this race. I'm surprised it took so long, to be honest. I suppose they wanted to stop them before they reached the crash site, but that was huge. Verstappen, your leader, he got that into turn 1. Albon with a horrible start. He's down into P4 now. Russell up into second. That was big. Getting news that Tsunoda's out of the car. He's okay. I don't know where that fire was coming from. I hope it wasn't too serious. It's already been put out though, but Tsunoda was out of the car. I'm guessing he got out under his own power to get away from the fire. Then Hamilton, the other car, out of this race. That was humongous. And we can get replays for you. Hopefully the red flag was just a precautionary because of how big of the accident it was. And they just want to clear the cars up. But let's see, on board. Let's go on board with Tsunoda. Let's see what happened. Down in 19th place, got an Alpine just in front of him. Oh, the Alpine just moved slightly, and he just can't do anything. You can't brake sideways. Just spins the car around, and it's a big accident. You can see the fire, and that's Lando Norris driving off. But Hamilton and Tsunoda both out of the race, out of their cars, so thankfully, which is why we're seeing these replays. And let's see, off board. I think you got to blame the Alpine, to be honest. Pierre Gasly just slightly moves to the right, not realising Tsunoda's there. Maybe it's just a racing incident. I mean, it's a very slow corner. We'll watch it in slow motion and speed up a little bit. You can see the Alpine. He wants to make a move on Leclerc. Tsunoda, does Tsunoda maybe outbrake himself? No, he definitely does move. And then brakes. And then Tsunoda can't slow the car down in time. And that actually ends up spinning Gasly as well, which spins Charles Leclerc. I'm lucky we didn't really get... Oh, I didn't actually spin Charles Leclerc. We're lucky we didn't get even more bowling over here. Then it's a huge hit into Lewis Hamilton and Lando Norris. Norris able to continue, but I'm assuming... I mean, it's a good thing it's a sprint race and not the Grand Prix, because that in a sprint would be not very good. Let's go on board of Sainz. Oh no, it'll be Vesti, the Williams. Who was that spinning actually? Oh, that's the Alpine still. And there. It's the same Alpine that actually ended up spinning. It was, hang on, one I've gone too far back. 2, I think it's Sainz I should be on board with, and not, Vesti. So let's go to Sainz, here we go. P20. So he's got the best view of it. And it's just a big mess, but what to expect when you got a corner like this. And then, so what happened to Gasly then? Because he ends up spinning again. Strange one. Still going though is the Alpine. As he does donuts there. We've got board of Hamilton. And this is going to be a big hit. I haven't seen a crash like this in a long time. It's like an over-dramatic version of Hungary 21. Just, the Haas cars are lucky as well. Oh, it's a huge hit. Hamilton will be lucky if he hasn't got any hand damage, to be honest. And the way he's holding that steering wheel. Anyway, one more replay. We'll go to Norris and then I think we're almost like ready to go back green. Actually, they're doing a good job of removing the cars, so there we go. It's not as big of a hit for Norris, which is why I think he's able to still keep going. Because they're going slow speeds anyway. But I guess it's just the momentum of everything. Anyway, the 1 minute board has actually just been put up, so we can go back to live coverage. Not quite there. There we go. This is where the red flag got called. So as soon as the green flag is called, they can just go back to green flag racing. But a huge off to start this race. Thankfully, all okay, and we can get back going any second now. There we go. Green flag's been waved, and we are back racing. So Verstappen, who needs George Russell. Remember, it's only top 8 get points in this, and it's reduced points. It's a sprint race, so 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 are the points. Pretty self-explanatory. No point to fastest lap, no point to pole position, which Albon's already got, but you have to get points for it anyway. And this circuit, I mean, of course, we saw the South African Grand Prix. Wasn't the best one. Not very much overtaking, and it was just a bit of a drag, to be honest. But this one, I feel like we'd see some more overtaking, and there's not really much. The cars are quite a bit spaced out. I'm guessing the final sector just ruins racing, really. As you go through a matter, down towards the next corner, which is Cavanella. This one here, which is a long left-hander. Before getting spat out with a little white one towards Tornantino, which is the hairpin, but we saw the accident earlier on. And then next corner down at the end of this straight is Varianta Po, this one here, and then Quadra 1, which is this one, and then Quadra 2, this one there, before a flat right and a left of Torgado, and then the final corner, Della Fonte, to end this lap off. Very short one at Adria. 38 laps to the sprint race. Should be done, if they're doing 1 minute lap times, in roughly 40 minutes, I'd say, because we had the red flag, so that adds a bit of time, but anyway. Verstappen still leading though, from George Russell, from Piastri, and I don't know how I will stay, because I thought we'd see a lot of moves going into certain corners, like turn 1, turn 1, the hairpin, those sorts of corners. Of course, tomorrow's Grand Prix is a different layout, of course, with the most recent layout, which is quite different. The final sector is the same, but the rest of it is completely different. A lot of the circuit has changed. A lot more hairpins, which I mean could be good for overtaking. Oh, there's a lot more hairpins, so yeah, anyway, as they go towards, what corner is that called again? I've forgotten. Cavanella, there we go. Lap 5 of 38. I'm going to go for a quick break, and then we'll see you at the end of this lap. And at the end of the next lap, it's quite a short lap. Hello, welcome back to Adria, where we are on lap 7 of 38. Going through turn 1. You can see now how far Norris is back. I'm assuming he had to pit after that crash. At the end, sorry about that, during lap 1. And actually, if you didn't know, Adria was meant to hold a race in 2023. It was meant to host the Italian Grand Prix, which was actually won by Alexander Albon at Monza, because it ended up rescheduling it onto the 10-kilometre long Monza layout with the oval and everything. But we were actually meant to race here, if you didn't know. But that race got cancelled because cars were struggling to make the hairpin. They kept going wide, they just couldn't make it work. And I realised it was an issue with stability control, but yeah, this race got rescheduled, and it's finally getting held this year with the sprint race, and then the Grand Prix tomorrow. But another thing, which has been announced earlier in the week, I completely disregarded it, forgot to mention it. A new rule for this season is coming into place this weekend. Each team has to run 2 wildcard entries over the season, and there are some rules. Each driver has to be each car has to be used once. So, say Verstappen's car, Verstappen will still race, but his car will also, there'll be another copy of his car will be used for the wildcard. Rules for wildcards: they cannot have raced in Formula 1 before, they cannot have a Grand Prix start to their name. So test drivers can race, it can be their test driver, their scheduled, or their, what's the word? Their official reserve driver. There we go. It can be them, but if they've done a Grand Prix, it cannot be them. So, for example, Red Bull, I believe they've got Iwasa, haven't they, as their reserve driver. It's either Iwasa or Hadjar. And RB has whoever it isn't. That is now no longer the case. Or no, it is the case, but they cannot be the reserve driver or the wildcard driver. So they've got to pick someone completely different. I mean, Red Bull have a huge driver academy, so it could be like Arvid Limbad, Pepe Marti. Because Marti did well in the F2 World Cup, and the F2 World Cup, of course, they can have done it. Doesn't matter. That's not an official Formula 1 Grand Prix. But yeah, of course, we have actually got 2 races this weekend already. Alpine, they've picked their junior driver, Gabriele Mini, the home driver, to race this weekend. And Ferrari, this is the big one, they've picked Valentino Rossi, the MotoGP star turned GT racer. He's had a very successful start in GT, and they thought, you know what, he's driven an F1 car before, he has done some testing during the week, because the wildcard entries are allowed to race, they have extra practice sessions basically. So if wildcards want to do it, they have a private session 1 hour on a Thursday, well, 2 1-hour sessions on a Thursday. So basically wildcard practice 1, wildcard practice 2. But they cannot, if it's a sprint weekend, they cannot race in the sprint, they can only race in the Grand Prix. So that's why we're not seeing Rossi and Mini racing today. They will make their first official start in practice later today, FP2, before qualifying, and then the Grand Prix tomorrow. No, nothing yet in terms of the Spanish Grand Prix and other races to come. Aston Martin, they've got that Mari Boya, their brand new recruitment from F3, so he could make the move. He's the only Spanish driver I can think of apart from Pepe Marti, so maybe Red Bull will use him. We'll see. Of course, Red Bull have 4 junior drivers to choose from, and I was going to say Shane Van Gisbergen, but of course he can't. Connor Zilic could be a shout, but a weekend where Xfinity aren't racing, he could do something, because he is a Red Bull driver in NASCAR currently, and actually did use the kart against quite a lot of drivers. I think out of the whole NASCAR pyramid, Connor Zilic is the only driver that has a chance of F1. It won't happen, I don't think, but you never know. Anyway, I'm trying to think of what other races we've got. Spanish Grand Prix, Canadian Grand Prix. What Canadian driver have we got? Devin Dean Francesco? No, thank you. Of course, Latifi, but he's raced in F1 before. I'm a bit crap, to be honest. Yeah, I'm trying to think of who else we have. This is a prediction, by the way. It could be anyone. It doesn't have to be the home race as well. But the fact that we've already had 3 Grand Prix, that's 4. They've only got 14 rounds to use 2 drivers, so we will most likely see at least 2 wildcards per Grand Prix, which will up the grid to 22 cards from 20. Hopefully it won't be too much of an issue. I don't think it will be an issue, and then maybe next year with the much bigger calendar we'll see maybe them up it to 3 wildcards. But it can't be the same wildcard, of course. So Alpine, they can't use Gabriele Mini, but they have got what other academy drivers have they got? Is Keen Nakamura Berta? I mean, they probably won't pick out of F4. I'm trying to think. There's another Alpine academy driver. I can't think of who he is. Who is it? Kushmaini, that's it. Oh, they've got loads, haven't they? They've got Aaron as well. He could do something. And also next year, they can, like the wildcard drivers used from this year, they haven't decided yet if they can do wildcard next year as well, but we'll have to see. But what else is there? What else have we got? I'm trying to think of Canadian Grand Prix or races. Aren't Devlin Di Francesco? Are there any others in IndyCar? I don't think so. But I'm sure maybe there was a pop in America. We've got a US Grand Prix in Mid-Ohio, of course. Where is Mid-Ohio? I'm trying to think of weekends that haven't got Xfinity. New Hampshire doesn't. So maybe Kazilic could do the Belgian Grand Prix. But I'm just spouting out ideas that I've seen be linked to wildcard moves. I haven't nothing official apart from Mini and Rossi, who of course already tested. The lap times they were doing were up there with the F1 drivers, so not too bad. But it just gives more drivers a chance to race in Formula 1, which I think is a very good thing, of course. The reserve drivers, who is actually Alpine's official reserve driver? I think it was Paul Aaron. Is it Aaron? Yeah, it is Paul Aaron. Mini isn't actually a reserve driver. But the reserve drivers that can do it are Arthur Leclerc. Pietro Fittipaldi can't, because he raced in Haas years ago, just racing Grosjean. Aaron can. Pato O'Ward, McLaren's reserve driver, can. Alex Dunn can make a start as well. There is actually there's no Mexican. Is there a Mexican Grand Prix this year? I think there is. Are we going to Mexico this year? No, we're not. It's next year. Mick Schumacher can't. Iwasa can't. Hajar can't, because those 2 raced last year. Borsetto can't and Colapinto can't. So it's only actually Arthur Leclerc, Pato O'Ward and Paul Aaron, reserve drivers, that can race. And you see how while I've been talking for ages and nothing's happened. In the top 6 at least. And there's no overtakes happening. This race is just like South Africa, but even worse. Hopefully tomorrow's Grand Prix is better, that's for sure. 87 laps over this. That's what it'll be like. Anyway, of course, what other races have we got? I'm trying to think of Belgian drivers that aren't Amric or Deal. Aren't any really. But yeah, it is a good opportunity for drivers that don't normally race in F1 to race in F1. British Grand Prix, that could see like Luke Browning coming for Williams. Who else is there? British. Arvid Lindblad. I mean, there could be more British drivers. Maybe Alex Dunn would do British Grand Prix for McLaren. I reckon would do Mid-Ohio. That would make that would make the most sense because he's raced there numerous times in IndyCar. But maybe Colton Herta for Red Bull as well. But still nothing happening. This race is boring as hell. Of course, normally in sprint races we saw drivers come into the pits at the late stages of the race because they just haven't managed their tyres properly enough. Look how far Norris back is. He's only just starting this lap 16. But what was I saying? Yeah, we didn't see any pit stops in Australia, which is a good thing, and hopefully we'll have the same this time. And the tyres will hold on for everyone. We saw at the end of the South African Grand Prix people having to come into the pits late on. And that robbed Behrman of a win, really. He could have won that race. Unfortunately, couldn't. Yeah, I'm going to go for a quick break. And I will see you at the end of the next lap. And welcome back to Adria, where we are on lap 20 of 38, still nothing happening. So what should I talk about while this is happening, because this is quite dull and boring. Should we go through next year's calendar, have a little look at it? Or should we, no, we'll go through this year's calendar, and I'll give some wildcard call-outs, just to see. And they might be watching this and decide, yeah, I will give that a go. In terms of that, so of course we've already got confirmed for tomorrow. Mini and Rossi, Spanish Grand Prix. What Spaniards have we got? I'm trying to think. Good shout. Of course, Mari Boyer, he's at the Aston Martin Academy. Pepe Marti is in the Red Bull Academy. Any other Spaniards I can think of? I can't really know. Marc Marquez, August 17th, is there a MotoGP race? There is, the Red Bull Austrian Grand Prix, never mind. Yeah, then we have the Canadian Grand Prix at Mosport. Can't really think of anyone, of course, can't use an IndyCar driver, because they're racing at Nashville that weekend. There aren't really many big names at Canadian Motorsport, so I feel like maybe, like, say Alpine will run Paul Aaron or something. Bulgaria, Red Bull could run Nicolas Solov. I know he's an F3 driver, but no reason why they can't. And there are actually a few drivers on the F1 grid that have raced in F1 before. But, yeah, Belgian Grand Prix, as I said, what's his name? Conor Zilic is available that weekend. He's been linked to a drive in this series, so maybe we'll see him, but no other F2 drivers apart from Amory Cordial that I think could do it. Czech Grand Prix, no Czech drivers is there really that I can think of, so they'll probably just throw in some teams. British Grand Prix, I feel like I see a few there. McLaren maybe run Alex Dunn. Who else has we got? Luke Browning for Williams. Red Bull might run Arvid Lindblad. Just some names there. And then German Grand Prix, Sachsenring. We could see maybe Red Bull running, what's his name? Oliver Gerster. Like, I know, by Red Bull I mean a Red Bull team, it could be RB as well. Can't really think of any other German drivers though that are heading up the motorsport ladder. Of course Mick Schumacher can't because he's raced in F1 before. So yeah, Bahrain Grand Prix, can't really think of anyone. Of course it's on the outer layout or the endurance layout, so US Grand Prix, I feel like we might see Pato O'Ward run from McLaren. Carlton Herta might get picked up. Just other IndyCar drivers that know the circuit. I mean, it's a max of 4 per Grand Prix, so it's first come first serve of that basis. And then Argentine Grand Prix, Colapinto of course would be the shout, but he's already raced in Formula 1 before, so can't really think of any other Argentine drivers unfortunately for that one. Brazilian Grand Prix, Rafael Camara could run for Ferrari. That's someone there. Of course, F3 World Champion confirmed last weekend at the Hungaroring. A very good driver he is. And then, yeah, New Zealand Grand Prix, can't really think of any New Zealanders. And then Sydney Super Night, an Australian, who is there? There aren't any Australians in F2. I've got James Wharton though, he could do something maybe. And then there are a few other drivers as well. There is also Leo Fornaroli, I forgot about him, I'm surprised no one's picked him up. Like, the deadline for wildcards is gone. Unless I've missed him on my notes. I have missed on my notes. Fornaroli has been picked up. I am stupid. I am stupid. Fornaroli will be racing for Sauber this weekend. So that is Leo Fornaroli getting picked up, the current F2 Championship leader. Leo Fornaroli, reigning F3 World Champion. Well, from last year, I know it's technically Rafa Kamara now. Leo Fornaroli will also be racing for Sauber, because who is their reserve driver? It's Bortoleto, who can't even be a wild card, so... Anyway. I'm going to go for another little break, and I'll be back at around lap 28, so I'll see you then. Welcome back to Adria, where we are just around 10 laps to go with the sprint race. It's been rather dull, I can't lie. Nothing's really happened, and apart from the lap 1 incident, and absolutely zero overtakes happening. Of course, DRS doesn't help. We haven't had DRS in a race so far this year. They might have DRS in Spain next weekend. Not too sure about that one. Anyway. Verstappen still leads, of course. Not really done well this year so far. So a win in the sprint could help him with the championship confidence, as well as championship standings. Not doing amazing so far. This race is actually, it's going quite quickly, I guess. It's quite a short lap though, it's 1 minute lap times. Which is kind of the whole point of sprints. But of course, it was first brought in for the US Grand Prix last year, and that circuit suited sprints perfectly. Just like the flat out nature of it, not really many braking zones apart from the final sector in turn 1. The short track in Watkins Glen, beautiful. Also being used this weekend for NASCAR actually. So, of course, F1 ran with NASCAR as a double header weekend when they went to Watkins Glen. And funny enough, NASCAR are there this weekend. Of course, we had the trucks race last night. I'm not going to spoil it if you haven't watched it yet. And then Xfinity later today and Cup tomorrow. So hopefully there'll be some good races. Connor Zelic, I'm assuming, will win. That's my predictions for Xfinity. And then Shane Van Gisbergen or Ty Gibbs. I'd love it to be Ty Gibbs. A big Ty Gibbs fan I am. So, well, I do like Shane Van Gisbergen. Probably I'd say my third favourite driver behind Hocevar and Gibbs. I would love a Ty Gibbs win just to get him into that playoff booth. But that's not going to happen until later tomorrow. So hopefully, come on, Ty Gibbs. Or Hocevar, but he's not really a road course person, whilst Ty Gibbs is a very good road course racer. But Watkins is different though, it's not like, it's quite a quick one. It's no Sonoma or like Mexico City. He was so close to winning that one, he wasn't getting wrecked by Zurich. Who knows? I'm thinking of the Xfinity race, I can't remember, but yeah. Verstappen still in the lead, followed by Russell, followed by Piastri. Maybe there were some overtakes. No, there wasn't. I thought Sainz made some moves, but it's just because I'm being stupid. Why does this race have to be so boring? Like, really, it's just really dull. I'm glad we had the wildcard news to talk about, because that would have made it so more interesting. Of course, Ford and Rody, surprisingly enough, hasn't actually got a junior, isn't in a driver academy yet. I'm surprised he hasn't been picked up yet, because I think he definitely deserves to be in one. He's a very good driver. Reigning F3 champion in the Invicta. Never has actually been in a junior team, I don't think. Trying to check Wikipedia to see if he ever like got picked up with one and dropped from it. I don't think so. No, never been in a junior team or anything. Which is a big surprise. What about Christian Mansell? I haven't seen him. Of course, he withdrew from F2 this year. But unfortunately, hopefully he can come back. Maybe we'll see him in a wildcard drive this year. Maybe at Sydney, the Aussie. Not sure who he'd be driving for, but almost done now with this race, which thank goodness, because I thought South Africa was boring. Why are they not driving well enough? I don't get why there's been no overtakes. I mean, it's just the nature of the circuit, I guess. No way was the circuit designed for Formula 1. It's very slow, very twisty. And hopefully the Grand Prix tomorrow is a lot better off, because this one's been very dull. Just some news on Snowden and Hamilton. They've both been seen and released from the medical centre, so that is the news you wanted to hear after that crash on the opening lap, which brought up the red flag for not too long at all, probably less than 10 minutes that red flag was. But yeah, tomorrow's Grand Prix will be on the current layout of Adria, which is a lot different to this. Still got a lot of hairpins, a lot more hairpins actually, which hopefully can, like, the tight nature of these hairpins can promote more racing, but maybe people are too scared to make moves. I mean, maybe they're scared today because of they don't want to end up crashing out and then damaging the car for practice later today. Because if they don't practice, they'll have absolutely zero on-track time before the race, and I'm going to be impressed if they, by the track crew, for actually getting the track prepared in time. Of course, you've got to destroy everything, and the work normally takes like a year. I saw an overtake. Drugovich versus Ocon. Hang on, let's watch something. Drugovich versus Behrman. We've seen moves. Drugovich, go on, Felipe. He's not going to make it work, unfortunately. But Drugovich almost got past Oliver Behrman now. He's going to make a move down the inside as they know he's not. Behrman fends him off. There's a bit of contact. Drugovich goes onto the grass. That's going to invite Jack Doohan to go around the outside. Now they're side by side. Here's come Liam Lawson. As they're side by side to have a back between Antonelli and Stroll as well. And Lawson down inside. Doohan goes onto the grass. But a great move doing? Is he going to hold on, or is Liam Lawson going to make it work in the hairpin? Now, is there a move further back as well, just from front as well? I thought I saw a Ferrari there, but I might have been wrong. That's not. Why are we focusing on Drogovic actually? And is that it? Is the party over? I thought we had racing them for a second. I think the party might be over. Well, that was entertaining for the time that we had it. Let's focus on Verstappen again, because overtakes were happening and then didn't happen. Oh, I thought we had something then. I really did. But in the closing stages of this race now, is that Sauber versus Ferrari? Leclerc versus Porsche have we got? Porsche is going to try and go around the outside on the monogas. He's had this miserable weekend so far. As Sainz gets past Vesti as well. So Sainz up into 15th. Why are we now all of a sudden seeing racing? We've got lap 36 out of 38. Goodness me. The two Saubers going at it as well. They have not had a great time in sprint races this season. Had a terrible one in Australia. And now this one down, I mean, they're in 13th and 14th. It's not too bad, but that's only because so many people are caught up in lap 1 incidents. As we go through the chicane now, through Quadra 1 and Quadra 2. Let's see how the leaders are doing. Oh, Verstappen are coming into the pit. There's contact there. Russell, huge contact between Russell and Piastri, but people are coming into the pits. The tyres haven't lasted. Ocon in. Russell in, Verstappen in, the race leader is into the pits. And so many people staying out there. There's not actually many. Loads of people coming into the pits there. That is shaking everything up. Verstappen, Russell, where are they going to come out? There's contact between Verstappen and Leclerc. Leclerc and Verstappen make contact. That'll be an unsafe release for Verstappen. And out comes that Stroll in second now. What happened to Russell? He's behind them. Didn't Piastri? No, Piastri stayed out. Where's Ocon? He was up there as well. He's in front of Russell. So Russell had a terrible stop. The tyres did not make it to the end of the Grand Prix. And we saw them almost spinning coming into the pits as well. There was contact between Piastri and Russell. Maybe that's what caused Russell's damage. But if they go into the final lap, they're not coming in. Piastri might win this race. As it's seen Verstappen for all this time. What a weird turn of events. These top 8 have all managed to save their tyres well enough to last 38 laps. The soft tyres. Normally we see mediums in sprint races. I mean, before F1 Fantasy came along, but the soft tyres doing wonders. I mean, for these lot at least, the remaining 12 cars. What happened? They obviously pushed too hard. Piastri, championship leader, the man that won 2 weeks ago at South Africa with a last lap move on Lewis Hamilton, is going to go around the final few corners now. Extend his championship lead from 1 point to 8 to 9 points actually, because he's got 8 points over his teammate. He's right at the back after the collision on lap 1. But as he rounds the final corner, it's going to be Oscar Piastri who takes the checkered flag, and he's going to win the sprint race. One more corner to go, and then it's a checkered flag on the start-finish line. There it is. Piastri's going to win. Albon second from pole. Oliver Bearman, another podium. He got third at the sprint race in Australia. That should move him in front of, what's his name? Norris, I think. Now put Bearman in second in the championship, the rookie, doing unbelievably. Oliver Bearman, take a bow. Drogovic in 4th as well, good for him. But Doohan 5th, Lawson 6th, Antonelli 7th, Porsche 8th. Well, thank goodness it's over, because that was blooming boring. And I think that's everyone done now. Lando Norris is coming over the checkered flag, finishing in 18th place. That is it. And these two, of course, out of the race. What a weird, boring race that was. Yeah, hopefully we see better racing tomorrow as they come into the pits now. And oh, Piastri's spun it. No, it's a good thing they didn't do this coming into the pits earlier. That's for sure. Well done, everyone. I mean, good thing the race is over, I guess. Anyway, let's go through your results then for the Grand Prix. Of course, we saw Hamilton and Tsunoda retiring early on with that incident going through the hairpin on lap 1. Norris, 18th place. He was also involved. And then, let's go through. Vesti, 17th. Sainz, 16th. Moni, 15th. Leclerc, 14th. Abysmal from him. Gasly, 13th. Not bad, considering he got caught up in that incident on lap 1. Russell, 12th. Ocon, 11th. Stroll, 10th. Verstappen, 9th. He should have won this race. But unfortunately the tyres not holding on, 2 laps too short. And then your point scorers: Porcher, Antonelli, Lawson, Doohan, Drogovic, Behrman, another sprint podium for him, that's 2 in a row now. Albon, your pole sitter, in second, and Oscar Piastri extends the championship lead. He will win the sprint race. We'll be back tomorrow. Qualifying, what time is it? It'll be 10 AM UK time, 11 AM local time, and then lights out 2 PM, 3 PM local time. So we'll see you for that one.